Dr. Phineas Newton was a name whispered only in the hallowed halls of science. He was a true genius, a titan of the intellect. His mind was a finely tuned instrument, composing symphonies of discovery that saved countless lives. He engineered synthetic blood that could be used by any patient, ending shortages forever. His nanobots coursed through arteries, hunting down cancer cells with ruthless precision. He cured diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. His work was a testament to human potential, a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. He was, by every metric, a savior, yet his name was not celebrated in the streets. Children did not have posters of Dr. Newton on their walls. His face did not adorn lunchboxes or morning cereal boxes. The world was far too busy, you see. It was captivated by a different kind of savior. Men and women in vibrant costumes who could fly, beings who could lift buildings and shoot lasers from their eyes. These were the heroes the public adored. They were simple, they were loud, their victories were explosive, easily captured in a 30-second news clip. They were the spectacle. Newton was just the science. His laboratory was his sanctuary and his prison. A sterile white cavern filled with the hum of machinery and the glow of data streams. Here, he was a king. Here, his logic reigned supreme. He would often work for days without sleep, fueled by coffee and an unyielding desire to solve the next great puzzle. He believed in the inherent goodness of progress. He thought that if he could just provide enough solutions, if he could just make life demonstrably better for everyone, then surely they would notice. Surely they would appreciate the quiet, tireless work of a mind dedicated to their well-being. He would watch the news reports with a growing sense of detachment. A building would be toppled in a fight between a hero and some cosmic threat. The hero would be praised for their strength, but it was Phineas Newton's advanced construction materials that prevented the entire city block from collapsing. It was his early warning systems that gave civilians time to evacuate. He was the invisible architect of their survival, the ghost in the machine of their continued existence. But ghosts are never seen, and they are certainly never given medals. The applause was always for the ones who could punch the hardest. The jealousy began as a small thing, a flicker of irritation, a quiet sigh when the evening news anchor would gush over Captain Comet's latest daring rescue. The hero had stopped a runaway train, admirable of course, but Newton had spent years developing the electromagnetic braking system that ultimately saved the passengers when the hero was busy posing for cameras. The world saw the cape. They did not see the calculus. This oversight was a constant grating noise in the back of his brilliant mind, a problem he could not solve with an equation. This feeling festered. It grew from a simple annoyance into a deep, gnawing resentment. He saw the parades, he saw the merchandise, he saw the unconditional love poured out for these superpowered celebrities. And he compared it to the silence that greeted his own world-changing breakthroughs. A brief mention in a scientific journal, a polite nod from a government committee. It was not enough. He did not crave money or fame in the traditional sense. He craved acknowledgement. He yearned for the world to look at his work and feel the same sense of awe they felt when someone flew across the sky. He doubled his efforts. He decided the problem was one of scale. Curing disease was too subtle. Reinforcing infrastructure was too boring. He needed something grand, something undeniable. So he turned his attention to the ultimate problem, energy. He would give the world a gift so profound it could not be ignored. He would create a source of limitless, free energy. This would solve poverty. It would end wars over resources. It would elevate humanity to a new age of prosperity. This, he thought, would finally be his masterpiece. This would make them love him. The work consumed him entirely. He isolated himself, pushing away the few colleagues who still tried to connect with him. The project was his obsession, a desperate gamble for the respect he felt he was owed. Every calculation, every experiment was a step closer to his vindication. In his mind, he could already picture the ceremony. The world leaders would be there, the cameras would be flashing, and for once the superheroes would be in the crowd, looking up at him. Dr. Phineas Newton, the man who truly saved the world, not with fists, but with his mind. The night of the accident was stormy. Rain lashed against the windows of his private laboratory, mirroring the tempest in his own soul. He stood before his creation, the zero-point energy siphon. It was a magnificent, terrifying device. a sphere of shimmering silver rings rotating around a core of pure captured vacuum. Tonight was the night. He was on the precipice of achieving his grandest ambition. He initiated the final sequence, his fingers flying across the console with practiced ease. The machine hummed to life, its low thrum escalating into a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of the building. For a moment it was perfect. The energy readings were beyond his wildest dreams. He had done it. He had tapped into the fundamental power of the universe itself. A triumphant laugh escaped his lips. Then something went wrong. A cascade of alarms blared. The central core began to flicker violently, pulsing with an unstable violet light. The air grew heavy, thick with ozone and an unnatural pressure. He tried to initiate an emergency shutdown, but the controls were dead. The machine was out of his control. It was feeding on itself, tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. A blinding flash of light consumed the room, and then silence. Phineas was thrown across the lab, his body slamming into a concrete wall, but as he lay there, amidst the wreckage of his life's work, he felt different. The world seemed to tilt and shift around him in a way it never had before. He pushed himself up, not with his arms, but with a thought. He floated. He looked at his hands, and with a mere flick of his wrist, a twisted piece of metal debris lifted from the floor and hovered before him. The accident had not just destroyed his machine, it had rewired him. He could feel the fundamental force of gravity, as if it were a part of his own nervous system, but the power was not the only thing he gained. In that blinding flash, when the veil between realities was torn, he saw things. He saw a glimpse of the horrifying truth behind his universe. He saw that it was all a narrative, a story being written by some unseen cosmic author. He saw that the heroes were designed to win. He saw that he, the brilliant scientist, was always meant to be a secondary character, a footnote. His struggles, his genius, his desire for recognition, it was all just background detail for the main event. His entire life was a lie, a role he was forced to play without his consent. The revelation shattered his mind. It was a truth more devastating than any physical injury. His ambition had not been his own. His failures were pre-written. The public's adoration of superheroes was not a matter of choice. It was part of the script. This knowledge hollowed him out, and in that empty space, a cold, precise madness began to crystallize. The jealousy and resentment he once felt now seemed petty. This was no longer about earning respect. This was about seizing control of his own story. If he was destined to be a character, he would no longer be a supporting one. His new power over gravity became his tool of expression. It was a fitting irony. He, who had been held down by the world's indifference, could now command the very force that kept the world in place. In the solitude of his ruined lab, he began to practice. He learned to fold space, to increase or decrease the pull of the earth, to create crushing fields of gravitational force with a simple gesture. He was no longer just a man of science. He had become a fundamental power. He had become a god in his own right, and he would make them see. His plan began to form, not in a fit of rage, but with the cold, methodical logic he had always possessed. Revenge was too simple a word. What he wanted was a rewriting. He would dismantle the narrative that had imprisoned him. He would show the world the fragility of their beloved heroes. He would make them feel the weight of their ignorance, literally. He would become a villain so spectacular, so terrifying, that his name would be etched into history forever. They would not remember him as the man who cured disease. They would remember him as the man who brought cities to their knees. Deep beneath the city, in the secret sub-levels of his laboratory, Dr. Phineas Newton prepares. He is calm now. The frantic desire for love has been replaced by an icy certainty of purpose. He is no longer the unsung genius. He is gravity's hand, the force of correction in a universe built on lies. He will rise from the shadows, not as a ghost, but as a reckoning. The world ignored Phineas Newton, the scientist. Soon they would have no choice but to bow before Newton, the villain, and they would remember his name forever.